gentlemen. You're looking at the best there is, Shotgun Tony Gunn, and I want to welcome you to another episode of Ring Generals. And I have a very special guest with us today, Matt Vine.
How you doing?
Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you very much. Pleasure
Glad to have you. You're the very first person I get to interview on this show, man.
I saw the news and I was uber excited. I shared it. I said, I hope he's doing it really, really soon.
Well, we're here and it's time to do this thing. So you ready to get rocking and rolling?
Let's get rocking and rolling.
All right, so let's start off with the easy one. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? Where were you raised?
So I was kind of raised all over the place, but I'm from the outskirts of Chicagoland.
Okay.
And I live in a town called Wheaton now. But I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, Carroll Stream. Then I also grew up with my cousins on their farm in Antioch, Illinois. I lived with my grandparents in a town called Chicago, but not downtown Chicago. I spent a lot of time there, just all over the place. So I got farmland, I got city life, and I got suburb life. So
Gotcha.
I'm all plethora of all three.
Gotcha. Well, I can relate with the farm life because I was born and raised on the farm, man. So tell us a little bit about your athletic background as far as sports. Did you play any sports in high school or college or anything like that?
Yeah. I played baseball a lot, and that's kind of like what the goal was to do, was like do baseball. I could. By the time I was done playing, I was done at 19 years old. As soon as like high school was over with, because I didn't want to play in college. I was just like, I'm done with baseball. There's a big backstory behind that, and I was throwing 92 at 19 years old. But yeah, there's so. I guess we'll go into it. So I was playing.
Yeah, let's hear this backstory.
This tournament. So as to why I was done, I needed to get a little check with my life. Basically, is that I was playing for a tournament team, and we were out in, I believe it was Iowa. We were playing, and there was this guy. There was a bunch of people, a bunch of fields around. So about 6 fields in this one park. We're all playing, and there was said to be some scouts there. And I go, oh, well, big freaking deal. No one's really going to be here. Next thing I know, I'm throwing, and I'm playing against probably the best seeded team out there. Struck out the side, and this guy comes up to me in the dugout, from the outside, of course. Comes up to me like a cop, and I'm like this, 18, 19-year-old kid. I'm thinking like, I'm the cat's ass or whatever it is. And like nobody can touch me. And he goes, like a cop, he asked me, you know how fast you were throwing? I'm like, already, I'm like, who the hell? I'm like, no, but if I struck your kid out, sorry, pal. And he's like, well, listen, pops out a card, and it's got Arizona Diamondbacks on there. It's like Todd, I don't remember his name, but I want to say it's Todd Benson or something like that. And he says, if you're really serious about what you're doing, I would check yourself and come back here tomorrow at about 7 a.m. I'm like, oh, shit. So I come back the next day at 7 a.m., and here I am. I'm like, man, I can't believe I told this guy this, and I struck out his kid and this great attitude and whatnot. And I'm like, oh, geez.
Good start.
So yeah, it was. Dude, I was doomed from the beginning. So he goes, listen, so you threw about 92, and I heard you're about to be 19. I'm like, yeah, that's right. He's like, all right, so if you can do that again, we might be able to do something here with you. I'm like, okay, let's do it. Just warm up, throw. Next thing we know, he's like, all right. Give me a good four-seamer, hit the outside, inside, and let's get one down Broadway. Yeah, sure, no problem. Throw first one, 88. Right where it hit the target, but it was 88 miles an hour. Next one, I'm like, all right, we got to pick it up a little bit. I'm like, okay, yeah, I got you. Bounces in, 91. Oh, come on, man, let's see what you got. Throws one way over. I'm like, oh my God, this is going terrible. He's like, all right, well, give me a few more. And at that point, I'm like, I knew I'm screwed. So at that point, I was like, yeah, I got to check how I talk to people. Like, there's something wrong with me here.
Yeah, it happens sometimes.
Yeah, it was a good reality check at that point.
Yeah, I hear you. So it's a lesson learned, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
Something to grow from. So I'm going to ask you the question that every wrestler gets. What got you into wrestling? Like, what made you say, hey, I want to be a professional wrestler?
Well, let's see. It's probably the same one as yours, man. It's just, there's a part of us when we get into this, it's like you're not really fully grown up. You know what I mean? Like, I never grew up, man. So that's really what it is, dude. It's like if you go around your house and you're pantomiming hitting someone with a chair, or like trying to hit somebody with, I guess it would be the RKO, F5, attitude adjustment, whatever it is with your younger brother, older brother, whatever it is, or maybe just playing around your house, setting up mattresses or whatever.
That's what siblings are for.
Yeah, I threw mine through a fan, like a ceiling fan, and it broke the glass. It was what the light bulbs were in it. So that was a nice morning with my parents. So like doing that, but just cultivate. Like I was in a baseball dugout, and there was a dumbbell there for some reason. I don't know why, and I was curling it. I'm like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Just got to get ready to look good for TV, man." And he goes, "Well, you already look like Batista." I'm like, "No, I don't. I look like this guy." And it's like, okay, well, sooner rather than later, they're like, "Just, dude, if you're gonna do something, you might as well just do wrestling." I'm like, "Yeah, I'll think about it." And then eventually just got into it, man. As soon as baseball was done, that's when I started to pick up like wrestling for full time.
So after that one thing happened that you talked about, then you kind of
I could
switch gears
eased my way into
Gotcha.
it. Yeah.
So with that, I guess were you watching wrestling at that time as well too before you got into it?
Well, I was watching with, everybody remembers like Goldberg and his streak and whatnot. And I would remember Sting growing up and a little bit with Michaels. But for me, when all that was going on, like I didn't catch a lot of Michaels growing up, but I catch some of it. And then I saw Goldberg and I was like, oh, this is the coolest thing. That was done from his streak ending. So like late 90s, I stopped and then I picked back up on it. I don't think I even saw wrestling again until a Monday Night Raw match with it would be Johnny Nitro at the time versus John Cena, and Melina was out there with Eminem and whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm like, oh my God, this is cool. So I picked it back up. I'm like, I gotta see what's happened in between, and I missed so much. Right, so I was like, wow, I got some catching up to do. Yeah, when I first tuned back in, I almost thought it was on almost every night. I'm like, wait a minute. Oh no, it's only a weekly thing? Well, started to binge watch everything I could possibly get on YouTube and just tried to catch up by next week, and I still had so much and so on.
Yeah. So you're fairly kind of still young or new to the wrestling business. How long have you been wrestling?
That's the thing, is like there's a lot of speculation. So people think I'm young and new to it. It's just like I just act young. No, dude, I've been. This May will be a decade.
Oh, really?
Yeah, okay. It's a decade. Okay. I never really sought out of going places. Okay. That's the thing about me and with my story is that I have in my area what I like to call the Al Snow of the North. Mm-hmm. You got Al Snow down here, live in Lincoln Color. I got a guy from one of the last few territory guys, kind of like a Rip Rogers, and then I got Casey James, who's like one of Al's favorites and Doug's favorite, like anybody's favorite. He's the locker room prince. That's who I have up north, who's trained me, seasoned me, and can put a thumbprint on me. And he had a direct connection with WWE. And for me, that's where I wanted to be. I didn't want to be anywhere else. I didn't care about Impact TNA. I didn't care about Ring of Honor or Japan. I just wanted to go to WWE. Mm-hmm. Well, everybody knows what happened at the end of 2019, early 2020. And everything got shuffled up. I had a tryout set up that September, and obviously that didn't happen. So I just, in the past few years, like I came to OVW in 2016, almost 2017 as a Jay Bradley. Like Jay Bradley sent out his referral for me, and I just wanted to see what it was like. I loved it. Mm-hmm. Just couldn't make it happen all the time at that point. Now, as the landscape is completely changed, I'm getting out there a little bit more. Yeah. I put a lot of my eggs into that basket of his referral getting me to where I wanted to be. Right. So I never ventured. I never got my name out there like.
And that's like a hard thing to do too, because you don't know, because you want to stay true to who you train with and who you train by and all that. But it's also a hard thing is putting all your eggs in one basket, like you said, because you do have to kind of like. If you do that, that's a huge risk, huge gamble, So, but if you spread yourself too thin as well too, it's a double-edged sword,
Well, so because at the end of the day, like you know, going to work for a good indie versus like this is probably not the best choice. The more you do those bad choices, the more it's not going to look well. Like you could say you've been to a trillion different places. It doesn't matter. It's like what kind of places. Like when I venture out and I go see places, I want to go to places where I can learn something, where I can go against people who have more popularity than me, more, star recognition than me, something where I can learn something like that from them that I can't learn. Like the in-ring stuff, as you know, like you can learn all these cool different things. Until you're in there with somebody of name value, you're going to get...
That has an experience.
Right, you're going to get only as good as... Well, you could be really great, but if no one knows you, who cares? You could be the best. Like, for example, Dean Malenko's awesome, but Eddie Guerrero is great. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's got that name recognition everywhere. You bring up Eddie Guerrero, I know who he is. Dean Malenko, not as many people. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I'm at with that. And where I'm going here is that you spread yourself too thin on those bad ones to get to where, at the end of the day, like, I want to do this to make something of it. And there's, right now, the name of the game for me, I think, is still WWE. AEW is kind of like, it makes me nervous, man, because of how much money they're spending and how much they're bringing back in. I look at it from a business standpoint, and I see a 76-year-old man in Vince McMahon made the most money of his entire life, and they're saying he's losing touch just this last year. So he's doing something right. Whether or not you want to agree with him or not, he's doing something right. So I want to, I go where the money goes, and you get those bad things out there, they're gonna classify you as an indie guy. And then you're doomed.
So you kind of hit the nail on the head with that one. So you talked about your training and who trained you and stuff like that. So let's kind of backtrack a little bit. What are some of your standout moments as far as like what was the toughest part of training, and what's maybe one of your most memorable moments of being trained?
Oh, that's a good one. I like that one. Okay, so like I said, Randy Ritchie, the guy who trained me, he had, before all this shut down, he had sent down, just on his word alone, and I think he was responsible for getting Kalisto hired, and there was a guy, he got hired and then he was released. His name was Alpha Samoa, and then there was 4 or 5 other guys that he got in tryouts for over the years, and one or two of them actually came back and trained with us, and he said, like, what we're doing here is not enough. I want to make sure I got enough. So I just told him, like, well, hey man, what should we be doing? He's like, you really want to know? I'm like, yeah. He's like, we can't be, if we're coming here and doing this, we got to triple what's going on. So he came in, I found a way I got a key to the facility. I come in and we're doing all the WWE drills that he did. We're doing 2 matches at least that are like 10 or 15 minutes worth of just going back and forth. And one of which is we're doing those grape squishers. We call them high knees grape squishers. This is the WWE drill.
Blow up drills.
Yeah, I love those. Gotta love those. We were doing those for 12 minutes straight, and then taking like 2 minutes rest and going to do another 12 minutes. We're doing the drop down drill. Yeah. We did triple the amount that they do. So if they did 10 per ring, we did 30. Yeah. At the time it was 10 per ring, and then they switched up.
Yeah. Sounds like hell.
Yeah, he really, because I don't know how this guy did it. His name was Ronnie Patowski. He wrestled as Ronnie Metro. Really talented guy. Not so much like technically, but God, could he, like, his facials were ridiculous. He played bipolar schizophrenic character towards the end, but metrosexual bipolar schizophrenic, he was great. And he pushed the hell out of me, because this guy, he didn't need any motivation, but he definitely motivated the hell out of me. So I definitely appreciate that guy.
That's awesome. Yeah. Awesome. So let's speed up a little bit. So do you have a significant other, partner in crime, or are you single?
Yeah, I gotta go.
I mean, is that something you want to talk about?
No, I don't care. Yeah, okay, definitely, cool. I do. I gotta go.
So, like, the reason why I ask, because, like, I'm a wrestler as well too.
You're married though.
Married. Yeah, I got the ring on the finger.
Yeah.
And it's hard to find that supportive, person to that relates with what you're doing and your passion for the business. And a lot of people don't understand it.
No.
So kind of let's kind of break that down a little bit as far as how supportive is she? What are some of the the pros and cons of being a professional wrestler? So
she's very, very supportive. This is probably by far the most supportive one. In my 10-year escapade doing this, I've probably had, as far as serious relationships go, probably 4, maybe 3 or 4, including her, probably 4 serious relationships. She is the only one who understands it, and it's still kind of fresh with her, but she definitely understands it the most. I mean, you know as well as I do doing this stuff. Like, I've missed weddings from my friends. I've missed birthdays. I've missed, big events. Everything you can possibly think of, all because Saturday night, hey, guess what? We got a show, or you got something on Thursdays here. Now it was Wednesdays at one time. It doesn't matter because you got a show on Saturday coming up for a big pay-per-view or whatever it was. You're missing out on something. You're missing out on date night. And when I left to go for about 2 or 3 months to do bodybuilding, my first ever bodybuilding competition, I was like, wow, this is so refreshing to go out on a Saturday night to a movie theater.
Right.
And just like I didn't get to eat anything, but I was like, oh, I'll take a Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi or whatever it is, and I'll just sit there and I'll watch a movie on a Saturday night. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm not in a car crash tonight. That's great, man.
And it's weird too, because it's like, what do I do with myself? Like, I have a weekend to myself. What?
That's the other thing. It's like you're lost. Like, you feel like you should be doing something,
right?
But you're like you're almost feeling like you're doing something wrong. Like, oh man, I should be there right now or something like that.
Yeah.
But so that 2-3 month break that I got coming back, I was kind of rejuvenated and whatnot. And she was with me through all that, and she still, like, because the break, usually when you step away for a second or two, that's when they're like, well, you didn't go this week. Why can't you do this? Well, this turns into that, and then this, and then that, and then the next thing you know, you're missing 12 shows.
Yeah.
Up by me, for a while, it was only weekly. So I'm only getting at minimum 52 matches a year. But I'll work 2 or 3 times a night on that card, back, especially back then. So I'll get double that amount. I get over 100 matches plus a year. Yeah. But if I missed that, then they're going to take that and they're going to use it later. That's one of my exes too. This one's not like that. She's kind of trying to get it herself into the business as it is right now. Very so she definitely understands.
Well, that's good that you have someone that's understanding, because you definitely need that in life. Because if not, man, it's a hard road. So you mentioned that you're a bodybuilder, and that's a question that I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
That you also do the professional wrestling, but you also do bodybuilding as well. It kind of goes hand in hand. So kind of talk about like your bodybuilding, like as far as what's it like to go through like the prep and the planning to get ready for a show.
So you should know this too, because I see how you are with what you pack your stuff. I see maybe sometimes you'll post a nice little dinner. I don't get that as much anymore, but and I look at you and I see some of your posts. I'm like, yeah, because I can't get that unless I hired a coach. So there's a lot of things, like especially with my journey, is that while I stayed to that one company more or less, I also ventured out to things like, I think I'm the only indie wrestler that has gone to John Cena's gym, has John Cena's coach in his phone, and I talk to him on maybe a monthly, bi-month or 2-month basis or whatever. I have a coach that is the same coach for EC3, and see what he's done with him.
He's in phenomenal shape.
Absolutely impeccable. I've never seen anything like it, man. It's insane. So it's just like at one point I messaged him, like, this is gonna be really hard as I travel and do stuff for wrestling. He's like, you just gotta, and I messaged EC3, Mike, EC3, and he's like, you just gotta be a psycho about it. So you, like, the nature of this business, you got to look a certain way. You and I look a certain way. There's a lot of guys that get into this. I look at them like, boy, oh boy. And, they just, if they don't put the time into that, they're not going to put as much the time into the wrestling either.
Exactly.
So, like, it's, for me, getting used to having the same kind of food on any given day 6 times a day. And then maybe after a month or two, I get something nice to eat for like one meal, and then then it's right back to it.
To the grind.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's like you stay driven in your training, but you veer off, and then you're gonna come back. You're gonna have ring rust, and you're gonna be you're gonna be terrible in the ring at first, or you're gonna be blown up. The time, it's real. It's a real thing. Yeah,
most definitely. Yeah, and it goes hand in hand with the bodybuilding and professional wrestling as well too, because like you have to be dedicated, you have to be disciplined on your physical standpoint, and also your in-ring work as well too.
Yeah.
So you talked about your bodybuilding, you talked about how you got into wrestling and all that. Let's talk about you as a character Matt Vine. So like, explain, like, kind of give us the elevator pitch. Like, what is Matt Vine? Who is Matt Vine as a character in professional wrestling?
Well, you know, it depends on, like, for me, like, I don't know. It doesn't matter what the hell I do. Like, I could be as sincere as a heart attack, and it doesn't really matter. They'll think like, oh, this guy's a cocky guy. So for a while, it was just this cocky a-hole, and yeah, I went off that. But then somebody told me, it's like, oh, you're too bland. It's like everybody does it. I'm like, yeah, but nobody does it like I do it.
Yeah.
You know. So then they told me to try and give it a change. Well, hey, I'm an Italian kid from, well, half Italian. I'm what you call Wapalak. Half Italian, half Polish. And so I came from, like, where my grandparents were. There's a town, it's Elmwood Park. There's a lot of Italians there. And then just north of it, there's a lot of Polish. And I'm somehow culminated in the middle. I am literally the walking example of what Harlem Avenue is in Chicago.
Okay.
And I go into my friend's Italian's cafe. They walk in, you know, they take one look at me, and then they'll give me shit, just like I give a lot of people shit. You know, just the Chicago kid, man. Windy City wise guy.
So in other words, you're just an asshole.
It's the best way to put it. Hey, thanks. So now he confirmed that we can swear on here. I'm the biggest prick in the world. Whether you love me or you hate me.
Said, I was just bring it down to
that's probably the truth. Like, hey, you know, I'm a dick, but hey, I'm your dick. That's what it is. That's, you know,
yeah.
You know, I'm a dick to people. Like, if I'm a bad guy, I'm a dick. But if I'm a good guy, hey, I'm a dick, but I'm your dick. You know, there it is.
All right, so what we're going to do now is we're totally going to go off subject, do something a little bit different.
Let's do it.
We're going to do something called grappling with trivia. So I'm going to put you to the test.
Oh,
all right?
God. Okay.
So I'm going to ask you, I believe I got a little cheat sheet here.
Let's do it.
So that way, and I'll give you multiple choices, and
Okay.
you'll select your answer if you think it's right or wrong. And there's 4 questions.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
So first question. During his Hall of Fame career, Mick Foley performed as multiple characters. Can you name the 3 faces of Foley?
Don't even give me the options. It's Mankind, Cactus Jack, Dude Love, and me.
All right, those are the 3. And then which one, bonus, won the WWE Championship 3 times? Which
That'd be Mankind.
You're exactly right.
See? Thank you. By the way, I didn't need those cue cards. There's no cue cards.
So, batting 1,000 right now.
That's about to change.
Question 2. Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson, both on-air personalities for AEW, belong to what legendary stable in the NWA?
4 Horsemen.
Yeah. I could have got that.
Okay, full disclosure, right? So what we're doing right now, there was an app that, for like the first girlfriend I had when I started wrestling, right? There was an app with wrestling trivia, right? And so I put her name on there. We used her profile picture, and so all these guys, they were either like 56 years old, they were like wrestling fanatics. They pit you against each other, right? So it was like, let's say you're the guy, and then it's me secretly like catfishing these guys as my girlfriend, right? You know, like, so they're going on. It's like, who won, you know, who slammed Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3? And I'll be like, they give the options, you got like X amount of time to do it. And I'm like, Hulk Hogan, boom. And they're like, oh crap. And they would legit want to, like, you get after X amount of questions, they determine a winner, right? So you get an option to like do a rematch or whatnot. I can't tell you the amount of dudes, because of how she was really pretty. And so how many people
threw them off.
They were just like, what? And they'd want rematch after rematch because they would try and get like, because you could send them a message like, hey, good match or whatever afterward. And they would, and I'm telling you, like, they would send messages like, you're really good at this. Want to hang out sometime? And then I would be like, oh, I think I got you some, hey, if this goes south, I got you at least 6 different candidates for yourself.
A different version of catfish right there. Well, you're doing a lot better than I would do in trivia, which these questions aren't that hard. So
I've seen you do yours. You did all right.
Mine were a little bit harder. But anyways, question number 3. When OVW CEO Al Snow first appeared in the WWE, He used various gimmicks. Which of the following was not one of those gimmicks? Oh. So you have 4 choices.
All right, let's poll the audience.
Avatar, Leaf Cassidy, Bastion Booger, 5-Star Ninja.
I want to say, I know he definitely was Leaf Cat. So you're talking about his personas, okay? So
yeah, his gimmicks.
So yeah, I would say I know for one it's Leaf Cassidy is him. Mm-hmm. Let's just why did I want to say Bastion Booger? Let's just say Bastion Booger.
Is that your final choice?
Yeah,
you are correct. You got it. You got it.
And now for the $64,000 question.
Mike Shaw performed as Bastion Booger in the WWE.
Okay.
Yes. Final question, man.
You know how I feel, because I know Jim Cornette was like Bastion Booger. Yeah, so I'm like, that can't be Al, because he wouldn't say anything bad about Al.
No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't. All right, last question.
All
right. This is a current one. Current OVW National Heavyweight Champion Jesse Goddard.
Oh, I'm losing this one.
Became famous for appearing in what reality-based TV show? Do you want your choices?
Is it Big Brother?
Choices: Big Brother, Survivor, Real World, and The Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Damn. He'd be a really good candidate for that one, and or Naked and Afraid. But I'm gonna go with Big Brother.
Big Brother is correct. You got 100% on your test. Mr. Spectacular Jesse Goddard holds the record for the most appearances on Big Brother, with 2 appearances as a house guest and 9 appearances as a special guest.
Oh man.
Hey, with that you get the brother handshake on that one. You got 100% right there, man.
Awesome.
All right.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So I'd like to ask you 1 or 2 more questions and we'll wrap things up.
Sure.
If that's cool with you.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me see here, because I got a few and I know we're running out of time.
That's okay. I think they got their phones charged enough.
Yeah. So I know like you're relatively new to OVW.
Yeah, you can say that.
What are some of your goals now that you're more frequent with OVW?
Well, yeah. So this was always going to be a thing for me. It was just a matter of coming down here and getting down here. Now that I have the capability of coming down here more, So I think we were talking. What was it? It might have been the last time I was down here. And I mean, if your goal isn't to be top guy or the main guy or something, then you're not. You shouldn't even be doing this. You and I will definitely agree with this because we're cut from the same cloth, just different part of the hoodie, I guess. Is that like there's play wrestlers and there's guys that want to do something with this, and the best way to do that is to be the top. So if it's the national championship, that's the top tier championship, then that's what I eventually want to do with this and see what we can do. If Matt Vine is the OVW national champion or OVW heavyweight champion, whichever one it may be, it doesn't matter. That's the goal, is to be the top guy or to get to the top of the mountain and see what you can do from there.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, that's a good go. Yeah. Good luck to that. So, yeah, I'm still chasing that as well, too. Yeah. So, another question. So, if you could tell the viewers one thing about following their dreams, whether it's getting into professional wrestling, bodybuilding, or whatever it may seem, what would you tell the viewers watching?
Oh, dude. Yeah, I would say there's going to be a lot of pushback. So, my old man, God bless him, he was very unsupportive at times, because when I was towards the end of my rope, I was not a pleasure to be around at the edge of my bodybuilding competition. But he would always say, like, you got to get off your diet. You're ridiculous. I'm like, no, I got 2 weeks left. I'm not gonna stop now because you think it's just no. Like, if you have a goal in mind, you got to see it through. If there comes a point where it's like this isn't viable for me, then this was told to me by Bradley Martin, YouTuber. He's out in California. He's got his own gym. It's called the Zoo Culture Gym out in California. Big YouTube personality. He said if what you're getting into, like for example, if being a WWE superstar or being top tier wrestler isn't in the cards for you, find a way to have wrestling make money for you or something like that, or be a part of wrestling. So if that's interviewing other wrestlers or starting my own podcast or whatever it may be, or booking a show of my own just to be a part of it, find a way to do that. It's like if you have a dream for it, you still go for it. And if it ends up not being in the cards, which if you put the work into it, it'll come back to you eventually. I know it will. I've seen it happen, just not with me yet. But if it doesn't happen, you find a way to still be a part of that, because if it's something you love, you find a way to stay around something you love.
Awesome. Very, very good answer. Last thing, Matt, give yourself a cheap plug. Tell the viewers how they can find you on social media.
So on Instagram, I am at this moment Instant Classic MV for the classic physique bodybuilding competition that I am. Still riding the coattails of that because I placed pretty well for my first go. Might do another one this year. So that right now is where I'm at. Otherwise, you just type in Matt Vine or Matt Vine Pollowa, P-O-L-O-W-I. That's me on Facebook. You can find me there as well. Probably getting to that point where I have to add you, because I add a lot of people as it is. So Instagram, Facebook. I don't do Twitter so much. Like, I have one. I don't even have the password anymore, and I'm not gonna re-up it. So that's pretty much my social media. And merchandise, that'll be coming soon too.
Awesome.
So that's Matt Vine on ProWrestlingTees.com as well. I do have some up there right now, but I got some more that's coming.
Awesome. Well, Matt,
Thank
it was
you very
awesome
much.
having you on the show, man.
Yeah.
Hopefully you had a good time.
I love ring generals. You got to follow them on these 3 platforms.
Yeah. So again, my name's Shotgun Tony Gunn. You got Matt Vine here. You can follow me on Instagram or Twitter at Tony B Gunn, and be sure to follow Ring Generals as well. Stay tuned. See you guys later.